What's going on, Giants fans? Apologies for the late upload. I mean, it took a while to put all the clips together and gather the information and even have time to record this. So I'm doing this on Monday night. So basically, I'm just going to be doing my reaction from the Giants Week 1 game against the Jaguars. Obviously, ended in a loss, unfortunately. I thought there were some good things, some bad things, and I'll just talk about my game notes and what I saw from them in Week 1. So first off, I just want to say, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the way the Giants played for the most part. After watching a despicable team last year, I mean, to come out and lose only by 5 points to a team that was in the AFC Championship game last year was pretty impressive. I mean, it was a game they could have won, definitely. I mean, there were some missed opportunities. The muff punt at the end of the game was a killer, but there were positives from this game, and there's things to go off of heading into Week 2. But as always, I'm going to keep it real and give my honest opinion here. So I'm going to start with the coaching. So Pat Shurmur and his offensive play calling, I mean, so much better than what we saw from Ben McAdoo for the last few years. Even in plays where it was a running play up the middle, I mean, he would send Odell in motion and put him in the backfield just to draw attention to Odell and to keep the defense guessing. I mean, I've always talked about how predictable Ben McAdoo's plays were. I mean, it was kind of hard to predict what Pat Shurmur was doing. He's definitely more of a creative offensive mind. I mean, he's not the most creative in football, but he's definitely a lot better than Ben McAdoo. You could tell, compared to the last few years, Eli Manning looked a lot better. Of course, had the unfortunate interception that got batted in the air. That was a play that ultimately lost the game for the Giants. I mean, if that ball doesn't get intercepted and returned, I mean, I think there's a good chance the Giants win this game. So, it was just unfortunate. I mean, the Giants missed on so many close opportunities. Eli did miss some throws. I mean, I like to praise Eli as much as possible, but there were some throws to Odell where Odell had a step or two on his defender, and Eli just overthrew him or underthrew him. So there were chances to win this game and make big plays, but the Jaguars defense, let's give them credit, they were able to keep them in check. For the most part, they were able to hold Saquon Barkley to nothing. I mean, Saquon was averaging under 2 yards a carry for majority of this game, and then comes out with this incredible, I think it was 68-yard touchdown run, and you can tell right there why we drafted this guy. I mean, there are not many backs in the league that can turn that into a touchdown. So I mean, it was really impressive. It shows you why the Giants took him at number 2 overall, and although I'll never agree with it, it's just nice to have a running back that can take it to the house at any given moment and make keep a defense guessing. I thought Barkley had a really big impact on this game, and I was really impressed from what I saw from him, but that's pretty much what most people expected. I mean, the hype for him was unreal, and to see him live it up in the Week 1 against a tough defense was really nice to see. So while we're on the topic of Saquon Barkley, I also mentioned Odell Beckham earlier. I just want to say, with these two guys healthy, I mean, they might be the most dynamic players in the league together. I feel like if both of these guys are on their game, I think the Giants can really compete with anybody. I don't know if they could beat anybody, but they can definitely compete with any team in the league as long as these guys are healthy and playing at a high level. I mean, it's just really hard to find explosive players like those two and have them on the same team. I mean, you think of Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown as the first duo you think of, and I don't know if the Giants are that good, but I mean, not the Giants. I mean, Odell and Saquon, I don't know if they're at that level yet, but I mean, talent-wise, it's definitely close. I mean, the Giants have two really special players on offense here that can keep them in any game, so you like to have that. But of course, with the offense, you got to think about the offensive line. It did have, it did look solid at times, and there were times where you kind of rolled your eyes. I mean, Eric Flowers, I got to point him out, of course. It wasn't as bad as his left tackle days, but it wasn't pretty either. The first possession of the game, or I think it was first or second possession, where he trips Calais Campbell, gets a penalty. And I understand Campbell's one of the best pass rushers in the league, and he's just a beast physically. But you can't trip a guy, obviously. Then he holds, which I thought was holding in the end zone. The refs bail him out and say it was on the 1 yard line. He single-handedly ruined that drive for us, and the Giants were looking to gain momentum at that point early in the game. So Eric Flowers was definitely disappointing for the most part. It's a tough defense, though. I mean, you gotta, even Will Hernandez blew a block at one point. Nate Solder was giving up, I don't know if he gave up a sack. He gave up like 1 or 2 sacks. He was pretty solid, though, Nate Solder. Um, Whoever his man was giving him fits. I forget the guy's name. Something that starts with an O, but he had a really nice game. Very talented player, and it was definitely tough. I mean, you're facing the best defense in the league, pretty much, and most people would say so. Um, you know, to score 15 on them is not great, but just think if this was Ben McAdoo's offense, they're probably going to score 3 points or 6 points or something. So to score 15 is not terrible, but it could have been better. And as I said, there were missed opportunities. So the Giants definitely left some points out there, and it's unfortunate, but it is week one. It is a new offense, and it's just something to grow from. So I think they did some good things and some bad things, but they'll get better as the season goes on. So before I move to defense, I'm just gonna go over a few more players. Wayne Gallman was the second running back behind Saquon Barkley. He left early. I forget what the injury was, but he'll be fine for next week, they said. At least that's what's expected. We also had Sterling Shepard and Evan Engram, who both were making some plays, but I mean, they got to cut down the drops. Evan Engram, had some drops last year, and it was an issue for him. And Sterling Shepard had a big third down. I think it was 3rd down and 5, 3rd down and 6 that he dropped, and that was a huge turning point in the game for us. And you can't have that. I mean, these guys need to be reliable. Defenses are going to zone in or zero in on Saquon and Odell, and we need other guys to step up. And if they're going to be dropping passes in key situations, it's going to be the difference between winning and losing, really. I mean, I hate to make it sound that dramatic, but it's true. I mean, if you have a guy, it's a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 late in the game, you need to convert, and then you throw to Engram and Shepard, and they drop it, then that can be a play that you lose a game off of. And if Sterling Shepard converts that 3rd down, maybe the Giants end up winning the game. So I really don't know. I mean, there's a lot of reasons they lost this game, but I hate to pin it on just him, but there's reasons they lost this game, and drops don't help. So that needs to be improved on as well. I mean, I think it's just a concentration thing. I mean, guys sometimes tend to look upfield before they actually catch the ball, and I think they can coach that and fix it. So hopefully they fix that as the later weeks come on. So on to the defense, and my initial reaction was people were saying all off season like how aggressive James Bettcher was on defense, and boy were they right. I mean, this guy brings the house a lot. If it's a 3rd down and medium, 3rd down and long, he's gonna bring a bunch of people. Rely on his man-to-man defense. It was fun to see. I mean, I think the Giants, though, they disappointed with, I think, the lack of pressure they were able to get on Blake Bortles. And granted, the Jaguars do have a really good offensive line. They added Andrew Norwell, who the Giants missed out on this offseason, and they already had a good offensive line last year. So, you minus Omame, who's with us now, and add Andrew Norwell. Definitely a good line in Jacksonville. But I think the Giants' defense could have got more pressure. There were players that were, playing good defense. You definitely have to give credit to Eli Apple, who I think allowed 1 catch for like 4 yards, I saw. So he had an amazing game. I thought he did a terrific job. Janoris Jenkins had the interception. He did get beat on the first play of the game, I think, by the Jaguars. I think Keelan Cole had probably like a 25, 30-yard catch on him, but later intercepted a pass, almost intercepted one. I think in the second quarter it was, third quarter, almost made a great play. So I thought the cornerbacks did a pretty nice job for us. I mean, it was just frustrating because, the Jaguars, I give them credit. They schemed really well around, what Blake Bortles does well, which is not much. And basically they ran a lot of play action passes, and Blake Bortles just had to dink and dunk and, throw these little out routes to Fournette or Yeldon, ASJ, whoever it was, and they would pick up these first downs. I mean, they ran the ball a lot. I thought the Giants should have done a better job defensively. They did a much better job in the second half, so I give them credit. But, especially with Fournette gone for, probably, 75% of the game he was out. I mean, you have to do a better job defensively. You can't let Blake Bortles beat you like that. They should have got more pressure. I mean, it's just the more pressure you put on a quarterback, the easier it's going to be for you, and that's going to be the more mistakes that you force on a quarterback. And I don't think they were able to provide enough pressure in this game, and that's just disappointing. So overall, I mean, am I surprised they lost? No. I mean, my prediction before this game started was 24-17 Jacksonville. I try to be realistic as possible, and that almost came true. But, I mean, I thought the Giants, I didn't think they would have this many opportunities to win that game, and they really did. I mean, if there was a few plays that went the other way. I think the Giants would have won this game, and it's unfortunate. Of course, starting out 1-0 and 0-1 is a huge difference. I mean, your probability of making the playoffs improves greatly if you start out 1-0 compared to 0-1. But if talking about next week, I mean, I'm pretty confident for some reason. I mean, I have like this weird confidence that the Giants are going to go to Dallas. I think it's a Sunday night game and, play really well. I think we're finally going to end up scoring 30 points for the first time in 2 years. I mean, I'm not too impressed with Dallas. I mean, they have no weapons offensively outside of Ezekiel Elliott. Of course, their center has the autoimmune disease, and hopefully he gets back soon. It's sad to hear that, but I mean, it's just a downgrade for their offensive line. Their front seven, the Cowboys, it's concerning. I mean, that's the strength of this team. It seems like right now. DeMarcus Lawrence is a hell of a player, so I don't know how strong their secondary is. I mean, it's probably average, but it's not a secondary that'll scare you. I think the Giants are gonna have a much easier time this week putting up points on the Cowboys, and hopefully when I talk to you guys next week, we'll be 1-1, and I am expecting to be 1-1. You hate to call week 2 a must-win game, but to go 0-2 would be just terrible. And if it's between us or the Cowboys going 0-2, we'd obviously love the Cowboys to go 0-2. So I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching, and go Giants.